I disguised myself as a prostitute to discover the real culprits. At 44 years old, I never imagined that my daughter would be murdered, and that I would have to clear her name, receive threats and insults from the authorities, and even pretend to be a prostitute and other things that I tell you at the end of this video. Hi everyone, I'm Eline Fotiadou, and I want to share my story. On the afternoon of August 10th, my two daughters went for a walk in the center of Thessaloniki, a port city in northern Greece. Before returning home, one of them, a 20-year-old marketing student, told her sister to wait for her while she fetched water from a nearby location. But she never returned. There wasn't even time to report his disappearance. The police called us telling me that they had found my daughter's lifeless body in a building under construction. That's when the nightmare began for me. The death certificate cited lung and brain inflammation. In addition, I was told that next to my daughter they found a syringe with blood and a clear liquid inside. The conclusion was simple. He had died of an overdose. Still struggling to accept the news, they returned my daughter to us, already in a coffin and ready for burial. The police recommended that we not see the body because several days had passed. But those recommendations were in vain. Family and friends insisted on seeing my daughter's face one last time. You can't imagine what I felt, I remember, when I lifted the lid and saw my daughter mutilated, broken lips, broken nose, hair torn out, a hole in her cheek. Everyone who saw it understood. She had been brutally murdered. I felt like my life was ending right there, and in front of my daughter's body I vowed to find out the culprits.
Convinced that my daughter had been murdered, I, along with my husband, began searching for evidence that drugs were not the cause of her death. Meanwhile, the police closed the case without even examining the fingerprints or blood from the syringe. Only in the place where the body was found was there evidence of murder everywhere. In addition, the clothes that were returned to me showed signs of violence. The bra was missing, the panties were torn, the pants were stained with semen, the zipper was broken. There was also lipstick and toothpaste that wasn't hers, and her crucifix was missing. Armed with new evidence and statements from several witnesses, my family approached the police to reopen the case. The most we got was their indifference. They had focused on the syringe and didn't want to know anything else. Realizing that only we cared about the truth, I left my husband to take care of our youngest daughter and decided to infiltrate the world of drugs and prostitution, where the culprits came from by all indications. Every day after work, I would dress up as a prostitute or a junkie and go to the park in the center of the city, where I slowly gained the trust of some of the girls. Although I was always accompanied by a former drug addict, I was often afraid. Pimps roamed around with knives, drug dealers openly sold drugs in front of a detox center, where everything was bought and sold for a dose. The most ironic thing is that right in front of there, the police officers were sitting in a cafe drinking without doing anything. Rumors, gossip, a few clues, and an anonymous call led me to discover the 8 men and women involved in the rape and murder of my daughter. Many times I came face to face with the man who allegedly directed the murder, and on one occasion I saw one of his mistresses carrying Eva's crucifix. Aware that I couldn't risk a judge invalidating the evidence, I hired a private detective who offered to work for free after hearing my story. We managed to speak on the phone with a prostitute who told me in detail how my daughter had been raped and murdered. When I asked her to testify before a judge, she hung up and I never heard from her again. With enough evidence to incriminate 8 people for murder, rape, and robbery, my lawyer requested an exhumation of my daughter's body for an autopsy. During all these months, I lacked police protection despite the threats I received. Sheltered by my family, I tried to live a normal life until the situation normalizes. I knew that with all this struggle I was not going to get my daughter back, but I managed to get the culprits convicted. I kept the promise I made to her because a mother's love is stronger than any obstacle. Tell me, would you have done the same? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the campaign so you don't miss the next story. Also, we would appreciate it if you left a like to this video and share it. It doesn't cost you anything and you help us a lot. Thank you for watching the video to the end.